Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Cindy Velasquez, and I am the Marketing Coordinator at New Horizons in Chicago, and I will be your MC today. And what that means is I'm here to answer any questions you have. So today's webinar is entitled, How Do I Love Windows 10? Let me count the ways. And our presenter and subject matter today is Scott. He's a technical trainer at New Horizons, and he is going to give you guys a great presentation today. And in case you aren't familiar with us, New Horizons is the largest independent IT training company in the world. We have the best instructors in business that provide training solutions for companies like Amazon, Cisco, Citrix, Microsoft, just to name a few. And we also have other professional development training in a variety of areas like project management to Office 365 or business communications. So if you're looking for any type of training like that, go ahead and look at our website. And with that said, I'm handing it over to Scott, and please feel free to ask any questions in the chat box during or after the webinar.
All right, good afternoon, good morning, maybe good evening, depends on what time zone you happen to be in. Thanks for attending. This is it's a little information about myself, and what are we going to talk about this afternoon? Dealing with Windows 10. So I guess the title of this was a deference to Valentine's Day, which happened this past week. So we're going to count some things in the Windows 10 environment. So basically we're going to look at some things that everyone should love or know about, if you will, probably does. And then we're going to talk about some things that you may not know about Windows 10, but once you start using them, you might enjoy those as well. I'm also going to take a look at some of the things that will be coming out in future builds. So we'll get a preview of some new things that will be arriving in Windows 10 shortly. And then we'll talk a little bit about some additional things we can do in the Windows 10 environment and New Horizons, and have a short question and answer period as well. So yeah, I started out in IT quite a few years ago. Been working with Windows for quite a long time, both professionally and personally through the years. So anyways, let's take a look at what our first topic is going to be about. Things that everyone should love. All right, so here it is. Now, in this case, it's just going to be a quick overview. What I'm going to do is let you take a look at this slide. You want to take some notes on this, and we're going to talk about a variety of things in the Windows 10 environment that really kind of make us more productive in what we do. So there it is. And what I will do, I'm going to switch over and actually get into desktop. I'll share out the desktop so we can take a look at it. So first of all, we'll take a look at the new, right, the start menu. What's new and what's the same, right? What kind of things are we going to see from that perspective? So what's the same? What do we carry over from an existing OS that we're comfortable with? What's new, and so on and so forth. Then we'll talk about the Windows Snap Assist. And a lot of us use multiple monitors, right? Got 2, maybe 3 monitors hooked up to our systems. Now, how do we maximize usability within that space? We'll talk about Cortana, certainly. She's a big part of the Windows 10 space and ties into other things as well. Talk about the browsers, right? We've got 2 browsers within the Windows 10 space. So we'll take a look at the Edge browser, as you might not be using it that frequently, but we'll talk about some of the neat features inside of that. We'll talk about a neat function inside the calculator that not too many people have run into as of yet, but it's a wonderful tool that'll help out in a variety of situations. The ribbon, the Action Center, what is it? Is that brand new, or is that something that we've had before? We'll talk about that one. And again, working with multiple monitors and multiple applications, again, how do we manifest productivity in those various combinations? Single monitor, multiple monitor environments. We'll talk about this concept of the task view. And then virtual desktops, meaning we can have more than one desktop in our Windows environment. What will that do for us? Support features with multiple monitors, of course. That is, as I mentioned, a very common thing for us to do within the Windows space. And of course, a nice recovery feature called file history. So we'll talk about those things. So let's take a look and see what those are about. I'm going to switch over my monitor here. So I'm going to switch over to the primary screen here. It might take a second or two to flip over. And let's see what my audience view looks like here.
Hey
Yes.
Scott, real quick.
Yes.
Um, we're
Yeah.
getting a lot of feedback saying that no one can see your desktop. I can see it just fine. Can can everyone see the desktop now?
Great question.
One second. Yes, we can see it. All right, so if we can,
All right then.
um,
All right then. What I will do is I will pull up the PowerPoint slide back on the initial monitor here so that you can see what we were talking about. All right, so there you go. So if you weren't able to see the slides before, maybe the secondary monitor wasn't being so nice to us. So there we are. These are the topics we'll talk a little bit about. All right, so again, start menu. We're going to take a look at some of the new stuff, some of the old stuff that carries over from previous versions. The Windows Snap Assist, what that can do for us if we've got multiple monitors. Cortana, the browser, the calculator conversion function. If you're not familiar with that, that's a nice tool to have access to. The ribbon, what that's about within the Windows 10 space. The Action Center, desktops, multiple desktops, if you will. And then we'll talk about multi-monitor support and the file history too. So those are the features we're going to talk a little bit about. All right, so here's what we're going to take a look at. All right, so here's the desktop. Nice clean one, by the way. So let's take a look at that start menu first. So it's down in the lower left-hand corner, which is where Windows Start has always been. And so when you pop it up, what you're going to find is you're going to see that it combines, if you will, the best features of Windows 7 as well as what Windows 8 brought to us, and combines those best features into a common view. So you have you do have your columns. They've moved the start button to right above the power button right above the start button, so it's easily accessible. And if you need to restart your machine, it's very easy to get to that information. You've got your Explorer, your document shortcuts here, so if you need to get to that very easily, it's a very, very quick way to get directly into your content directly from just one click, and you're in. Now, in the center column, in this case, you see some primarily used applications as well as an alphabetical list that I can scroll through. So this start button really capsulizes all of your applications in a nice alphabetical list. And one of the nicer features, of course, is the ability to get your entire alphabetical list by clicking one of the dividers, and that just shows your entire alphabet. So if you need to get down to the letter P for a particular application, you click on it, and it brings you right down to that letter. You don't really have to scroll up or down at all. You can just click on any one of the dividers inside of that arena, and you can get up and down that list very easily without too much effort. All right, and on the right side, of course, you have the tiles. Now, remember Windows 8, if you saw that, Windows 8 gave us a full screen's worth of tiles. And now it's capsulized into a much smaller view so that we can see, again, organization of tiles based upon our preferences. Again, I've got some larger tiles at the top here, so I'm able to see the weather right here, some calendar information, some stock information, some sports information. But again, all these tiles can be live if you like them to be. If you like them to be static, that you can just click on them and drill into the particular application and get more detailed info from it, then then that will be availed of itself as well, which is nice. So you can again be productive very quickly. So again, the tiles, they're scalable. You can keep them any size. You can make them larger, smaller. They drag and drop around in the tile environment if you want to move things around between categories or resize them. You can do that, make them very small if you don't want them to take up that much space, and so on. So it's very nice. Think of the apps here or these tiles like you would, tiles on your phone or your tablet. Very flexible. Scalable groupings are based upon your particular preference and priority, and you can add things in here or take things out if you don't want them to be there. So if I don't want a particular app in here, Parcheesi, if I don't want that, I can just unpin it, take it out of there, and then I can move something else in its place and reorganize the tiles as I see fit. All right, so very flexible model for working with the tile environment. Again, it doesn't take up a lot of your space. Very nice, organized. It doesn't hide your desktop view at all. So nice, nice product there. Now, of course, a lot of us work with many, many applications all at one time. So, it's very common for us to use, 2, 3, 4, 5 applications all at once. So a lot of that space is going to be taken up with all these windows we're trying to manage within
Hey,
that
Scott.
space. So if I open up,
We got a
yes,
few questions for you before you move on. Is
okay,
there
what do you
an,
got?
is there a way to modify which buttons are on the far left above the power button?
There are settings underneath your account area up here. You can see some of the information in there, so you can get into the properties underneath that one, change account settings. So there's some options inside of settings that you can modify in there as well. So basically, these guys here are going to be static. You do have room to add a few more objects in here, but other items, though, will be pinned directly into the start list in the center column. That's really the place that you and I would most likely apply those changes and preferences to what we want to show up there. All right, what else?
Perfect.
As I say, most
And
times
then
we'll
one
have
more
many apps.
question.
Yep, go ahead.
All right. For virtual
Go ahead, Cindy.
desktop, does it use a
Hold on.
lot of resources?
I'm sorry, Cindy, go ahead. Virtual desktops.
Yes. Does it use a lot of resources when creating several desktops open at one
Great
time with
question.
multiple apps?
Great question. The thing is, that the desktop is not something that actually uses resources. It could, because the applications are still running in the context of your Windows logon. So, yeah, it's interesting. If you do some research on that, you find that you can have. Oh, I've seen people create 200 desktops, and it's all based upon the physical resources of the applications that they're using itself. So there's practically no impact at all on the desktop creation process, because it's still based upon the applications you're running themselves. So good questions, but we'll cover that in a little bit more detail here coming up shortly. All right, I'm going to open up a couple more applications here. I'm going to get the calculator up here too. We'll open that up as well. So you know what this is like, right? You get all these kind of things created underneath your desktop. And so how do you maximize utilization of all this information here, all this space that's out here? So what do we do with this? Well, one of the things we've got is to manage the space effectively on one or more monitors. So what we're looking at here is this thing called Snap Assist. Now, we've had the ability to split your monitor in a few different ways prior versions, right? Windows 7, you could do left and right, top and bottom, and so on. But now in Windows 10, we've got a few more options up our sleeve. One is this thing called Snap Assist. So I'm going to take my Excel spreadsheet, I'm going to bring it over to the left side, of course, and as you can probably see the little outline there that's kind of shaded. Now watch what Windows is going to do. It's going to let me drop this, and automatically it's going to give me thumbnails on the right-hand side of the screen. And so now it's going to ask, well, what do you want to fill up the rest of the screen with? And then we can pick whichever application makes most sense to us, click that title bar, and automatically it's there. I don't have to worry about moving it, scaling it, or anything like that. So that's very nice. Now, let's add another couple tricks into this, because that's not terribly impressive. But what if we want to make use of this space a little bit differently? As I say, most of us have multiple monitors, and sometimes those monitors are very big now, right? We're talking about 21, 23, 24 inch screens, and I can recall a client of ours having a couple 32-inch monitors, very, very large monitors hooked up to their system. So a lot of real estate, so you can plug in a lot more things than just two applications. So what if we want to do this? What about in quarters? So I can actually have Windows do this in quarters for me, so I can drag things down to individual quarters. Snap Assist will help me out there. Oops, the right side didn't do a quarter, but if I use my Windows cursor keys, I can automatically make that into a top or bottom quarter very easily, and then fill up the rest of the space with the applications as necessary. So I've got quarters down here. And the nice part about this is it goes multi-monitor. So I can do this across 2 or 3 monitors, have 8 windows, 12 windows, all nice and scaled appropriately for me to be productive in that particular environment. Now, another neat thing to know about this is the fact that prior in Windows 8, you really didn't have the ability to have your Windows Store applications in a window. So as an example, our calculator is really a Windows Store application. This wasn't something that you could do maximized or anything like that. But notice that calculator, you probably don't need that big, but just showing the fact that I could take this, if I wanted this to be the application that I wanted up in that upper right quadrant, I could do that. You couldn't scale those Windows-based Windows Store applications really well in Windows 8 before. It's either full screen or nothing. And now those are nice, scalable, like your regular Windows locally installed apps are. So that's a wonderful feature just to have the ability to work in that way. So Snap Assist, again, will take us to that. Now, if I want all these windows to go away, another little feature that you might not know too much about inside of Windows is called the window shake. You might not use it that often, but it's there. I just do a quick shake of a window and all my other windows disappear automatically into the taskbar. That's it. They just disappear and they're gone from my desktop, and it looks like I only have one app open. If I want to bring them back, I just shake my current window again, and all my apps are going to populate right back to where they were, just like that, and I have everything back in a more organized way, if you will. So a nice feature, again, Snap Assist, as well as the window shake function there. All right, what else are we talking about? Well, one of our most common applications we use in the Windows environment might be the browser. So let's talk a little bit about how do we get information to our computer. So let's look at the Edge browser. So this is one of the 2 browsers that's there. I know I'll talk about Cortana in a second here. So the Windows browsers, right? You've got 2, right? You've got 2 types of browsers that show up. You've got Internet Explorer 11, and you've got the Edge browser. Now, a lot of organizations, from a business perspective, might be using IE 11 right now until they kind of make sure that a lot of the vendor sites are updated to support the current standards that the Edge browser is going to require. So what is the Edge browser about? Why is it interesting to talk about? Well, it's got a lot of features in here that you weren't able to support inside of the Windows, the IE browser. First of all, let's take a look at, I'm going to get into the technology area here. And I'm going to go look for something inside of here. There was an interesting story here about the Samsung Galaxy 8. All right, talking about a new feature there. So I'm going to drill into that, and
Hey,
I'm going to take a
Scott,
look at what I can do with that. Yes.
real quick. Got a few questions just coming in. Uh, Melanie asked, where do you find Snap Assist? She doesn't see it in the start menu.
It's not something that you actually look for. It's a function of using multiple windows on the desktop itself. So it's by usage of the application. So if you've got 2 or 3 different things open on your desktop and you drag it over to one side, Snap Assist will automatically show you those thumbnails on the other side of your screen. So it won't be a menu choice you see. It's a built-in function in the OS itself. All right, what else?
And then Joe mentioned that your mouse is kind of flickering a little bit. So if you can just go like a tad bit slower, that would help.
I see. Okay, we'll see what I
And
can do with that. All right, mouse, let's slow it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm looking at, thanks for that.
and
So I'm
then
looking
2 more.
at a web page on the technology site in the MSN space. So as you can see here, the web page has a lot of additional information on it that I might not be interested in. You see this? I mean, fried chicken, I'm not sure I want to know about fried chicken from a technology perspective and all these other ads and sponsors and so on. So you know there's a lot of other bright, shiny objects on this page, right? You see all these links and other things. Meanwhile, the story I want is here. So within the Edge browser, in the top of the URL area, there's an icon that looks like a little book. It's called the Reading Pane. There's a few other browsers out there that give you this option as well. So all this means is I can click on this, and this is going to reload my page and only show me the story itself and get rid of everything else on the page, all the video stuff, all the links, all the other ads and everything else. So I can look and just see the story that I'm interested in to read it without any other distractions within it. Now, while I'm in here, I might want to do something else with this story because I'm thinking, hey, you know, there's a coworker or two of mine that might be interested in this. So let me do a couple things with this content that'll make it more usable for them. So I've got another ability up here to make some web notes. So I click on it and I get a drop-down menu here, and I've got the ability to use highlighters, all right, within that space. So let's click on that. So we should have a listing of highlighters that show up here. I can choose my color, choose my size and shape of my highlighter. So I can make some notes on here or call some attention to some new features in here, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click down here, and I'm going to, you know, add in some highlights directly on the page here. And if I wanted to, I can also draw in and add a note in here as well. All right, and there we go. We can add in our notes as necessary for, you know, for putting those kind of things on the page itself. So pretty nice capability. Now, once I'm done with this, right? Once I'm done, I might want to share this out with some people. So another function inside the Edge browser is right up in the upper right-hand corner. I have the sharing icon, and that'll pop open my options for what kind of abilities I can use to share this out. Do I want to put it in a Dropbox place where my coworkers can get to it? I want to mail it to them, put it in a OneNote document. The list here, of course, will determine what kind of other apps you have for sharing out content within your Windows environment. So if you add some other apps in, some other social media mechanisms, that can be an mechanism for saving and sharing this information out as well. So pretty nice capability within it. If I just want to save it myself, I can add it in OneNote, then I can save that, and then I can have that as a OneNote page I can go back to in the future, and then it will be available for me to show up there. So nice feature. Now, within the browser, let's talk a little bit about how we might look for some information as well. So let me jump back over here, and let's talk about our search assistant, Cortana. Now, Cortana is, as you probably are aware, Microsoft's search engine assistant or search assistant for Windows 10. So she's sitting down right next to my start button down here. I can click in there, and as you see, her dialog box pops up here and will ask me about, you know, if there's anything she can help me out with at this point. She's showing me a quick overview of my day at this point. So I've got my upcoming or current appointment now, which is on the calendar right here. She's going to ask me, hey, do I want to get Cortana on my phone, which I'll talk about in just a moment here. I've got some additional information. Oh, look at this. So she's showing me a package delivered on the 17th today at 12:31. So I just got a package delivery, so I'm excited to see what that is. So again, gathered information from emails. This isn't something I put in there or told her to remind me about. This is just something that if you get an email confirmation with a tracking number, she's going to keep an eye on it and let you know, in this case, that it's there, and you can get that information. There's some stock information I've published as well, and as well as other links and a quick way to get to some other content from the browser environment as well. So very nice, and I didn't even ask her to do anything as of yet, right? She's just willing to help out, all that stuff there. So I can ask her questions, certainly. So I can have her look for things on my computer. I can ask her to find things. Let's see, it's about lunchtime. Hey, Cortana, find the closest pizza restaurant. Let's see what she comes back with. All right, she's going to do some searches here. All right, I'm not sure. Great. I'm not sure you could hear all that, but Cortana was just telling me a little bit of information about what she found, of course, and I've got the appropriate information here. So if I want to drill into, you know, any one of these other locations, I can get to it directly from here. I can make the call from here as well. I'm not leaving my desktop at all. You see what this is nice? This is very, very nice about this is I'm staying at the desktop level. I'm not going out to the web, having to open up pages. I'm doing a lot of this directly at the desktop level. So meanwhile, you know, I could still be working in my Excel spreadsheet, and I could just be talking to Cortana at this point. So you know, from a productivity standpoint, I think it's a great feature in order to do that. Now, sometimes you need to get some more information about a particular item. Let's see what Cortana can do for that too. So let's find, let me go backwards here, and we'll talk about what was that? What was that thing we were just looking at? The Samsung Galaxy. Hey Cortana, look up Galaxy S8. Well, let's try that, S8. She'll see what she comes up with from that perspective. Samsung Galaxy, it should be S8 there. There's the S7. So let me go back to my, and that brought up my Internet Explorer, because that's currently my default browser. But I'm going to open up the Edge browser one more time, and I'm going to get back into, well, that is that one. Let's go back to my home page. Let's get that up here. We'll get over there. And I'm going to drill into the technology area. So I'm going to go back into my same story I was looking at before. So I want to show you another one of the great features inside of all right, technology. Let's get into that Samsung story one more time. I wanted to show you again the integration of Cortana with the browser. So here we are. We're back on the same page I was on before, but this is what I'm really interested in here. Let's say you run into something on a particular web page. You're not familiar with what it is. So in this case, I have an acronym here, WSJ. All right, it says Sony would be the third company to provide the lithium batteries that will power the Galaxy S8. WSJ said. So if you weren't sure what WSJ was, let's see if we can find out what Cortana will tell us about this. So I'm just going to highlight WSJ, right-click on it, and ask Cortana. So she's integrated into the Edge browser, and this is what she comes up with. So notice I'm staying on the web page. I'm not going anywhere else. I'm directly reading the story. I look over to the right, and there is the information about the Wall Street Journal, which is exactly what that's about. It did mention right above, it said the Wall Street Journal reported Friday. So this is an accurate update just from a regular acronym that there was enough information. But look at the rich depth of information that Cortana is providing us with. If you want to actually order the Wall Street Journal, you could do it right from here. There's an 800 number that's a link you can click on and call. If you want more detailed information about it, you want to look at today's paper, it's right down here as well. The headlines are also right there on the right side, the phone number, the email address for support. So a lot of really great information right on the web page, and I didn't go anywhere. I just close it out, click, and now I'm back to reading the story without having to go back and forth between different tabs in your web browser or anything like that. So Cortana is integrated into many, many things, and she will continue to do so. As a matter of fact, I've got a couple upcoming features I'll talk about that Cortana is also going to be able to do for us going forward. So I'm going to minimize that here. What else are we going to talk about with
Hey,
regard to that?
Scott,
The calculator. Yes, go ahead.
you got a question.
Go
So
ahead.
is Cortana only useful for Microsoft apps? So for example,
Great.
if we add a third-party app and ask Cortana to open it up, will she be able to do that?
Anything that's installed on your application. So let's see, I've got Adobe. What have I got down here? All right. Hey Cortana, open Acrobat Reader. There you go. So there's a third-party app, and now she's got it opened up on my other monitor. So she understands, as I say, all things installed at the operating system level. Now, as far as what we can do inside of that application, that would be dependent upon how the vendor decides they want to hook into the Cortana experience overall. So yeah, we can tell her to launch things. create the appointments and so on, generate emails, reminders, all kinds of neat things there. So, and she's getting integrated into many other things as well. As you're probably not surprised, you've been keeping an eye on the technology news lately, the battle between the assistants. Now we've got, Alexa, and we've got the Google device, taking over and looking to get into our homes and such. So be interesting to see where this all ends up. Integration between your PC and outside of the computer as well. Interesting to see where that all ends up. But anyway, so I'm showing you the calculator now at this point. Now we all know that the calculator has been around in our Windows environment for many years, and of course we do have the opportunity to change our calculators to scientific, programmer. So we've got a variety of views with it, right? And it is scalable. Right? There is a history that now is available for us as well. So if you got long calculations that you're doing over a series of steps, you can see the history within the calculator as well. But my interest here, though, is not with the calculator. It's actually another great feature included with it that, again, is kind of buried and not talked about too much, is this entire section called the converter. So we've got built-in converters for all. Look at how many different conversion tools we've got in here. So let's say we're going with length, and we need to go from inches. You want to go from inches to, again, pick it, centimeters, millimeters, kilometers, yards, microns, whatever that particular value is. If I've got 75 inches, what's that going to create for us? 1900 millimeters. Give you some additional numbers there as well. We'll go under speed or area, energy, temperature. That's an easy one, Celsius to Fahrenheit. You could do Kelvin if necessary as well. So these are things you might be doing, looking up some apps on the, on the web pages to do conversions. Meanwhile, this is sitting right here at our desktop and can be available to us anytime we need to. Gigabytes, megabytes, terabytes, there you go. Who needs to know how many exabytes, exabits, zettabytes are in a particular size file that we've got? So it's all there right in our desktop for us. So that's a great feature, again, that you might not have known about that much. Now, another thing that's made its way into the desktop environment, go ahead.
Got a question for you about the converter. So is the converter available only in the calculator app?
Yes.
Okay. And then this is not,
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Okay. And then this is not calculator related, but I guess, is it a business choice between which browsers are used in Windows 10?
Of course it is. Yes, your organization is going to dictate pretty much what browser they're going to support, and that might be based on a variety of things. It might be based upon outside vendor support services. We've got a lot of organizations using SaaS-based or web-based applications. So it really depends on what product selection the vendors are supporting as well going forward. So yeah, it is something you might want to look forward to. Again, a lot of companies might be using right now Internet Explorer initially as they release Windows 10. But again, in your home environment, you want to take and explore the Edge browser a bit more. Certainly, it's there available as well for us. But we're also going to look at, again, as part of our experience inside of the Windows environment, we know from, let's take a look at Word here. All right, so I've got Microsoft Word up here, which is an interface we're pretty familiar with, right? And creating our documents and everything. At the top of the screen, you see what's called the ribbon, right? This ever-changing environment at the top that usually will give us some insight as far as what options and capabilities are available for us based upon what we're doing. So if we're typing in text, then of course the options for all the text availability show up and are highlighted. If we import an image into a document, then we'll get other things highlight on the ribbon to let us know what's possible with, say, a picture for scaling and other picture effects and so on. So those are all capabilities that we're comfortable with inside of the Office environment. Well, what about at the desktop level? So this is where the ribbon makes its way into the desktop as well. So here I'm looking at Explorer. I've opened it up, and I've got my list of things on the left-hand side, and along the top is my ribbon. So I've got a Home tab, I've got a sharing function here, all right? I've got a View menu, but not everything is highlighted. It really depends upon what particular action I'm going to try to accomplish, or what object I'm going to work with will determine which choices I have in the ribbon above. So let me say I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to highlight the folder called my Windows 10 webinar. I click on that, and from that perspective, I'm going to get some icons show up that will highlight. So I now have the move, the copy to, delete, new folder. Those are all things that are here. If I deselect it, again, the icons just disappear, or they gray out, as in that function's not available with this particular item selected. So you get a lot of feedback, again, from the ribbon itself, and therefore we can make some decisions about what we want to accomplish with that particular content type. So very, very good feedback. Another thing that's really nice inside of the Explorer view is this ability. Let me go into my, let's say, my documents folder here. So I didn't organize anything specifically here, so just got to get a share out. Here's my documents. So here's stuff that I'm looking at directly on my live system. So, I've got a lot of, documents that are here. Of course, you can change your view in here. But what we might work with, if we've got a smaller listing of things, we might change our view and go with maybe some tiles or large icons like this. So if you've got a short list like that, easy enough to just see these kind of items here. But what you get as an advantage from looking at a list is that you can do sorting. Right? If you have the details column here showing I've got my name, my date modified, my type, and my size, I not only can sort by name alphabetically, forward or reverse, or by type, but I also want to point out the fact that you now have the ability to filter the views at the desktop level. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say I've got a big listing of documents here, so it's kind of cumbersome to make my way through, but I know what I'm looking for is an Excel spreadsheet. So certainly I could sort by type here and scroll down this list and go look through all my Excel worksheets here. But something even better in Windows 10 is right next to where I see the type column, I've got a little drop-down box right next to that. And if I click on that, I'm going to get a listing of all my document types here. And all I've got to do is say, I want to see my Excel spreadsheets or worksheets. I click on that, and I've automatically filtered my list. And so now I'm only seeing the Excel spreadsheet. So it pretty much clears up everything for me, hides everything I don't want to see. So I've got a much easier view of my listing of documents that I'm looking for. So again, you can do things based upon multiples. These are checkboxes. So if I want to say Word documents and Excel documents, then I can do that as well. And therefore, I've got both of those. So those are available for me to filter upon. So nice feature sets within the ribbon. Allows us, again, better feedback, organizational skills, makes us much more productive. Now, as far as being productive, a lot of us use mobile devices, right? I'm currently working on an HP 2-in-1 device here. So it's a laptop, it's a tablet capability, and so we have a lot more controls on that particular kind of device that normal desktops wouldn't have. So nice to know that in the Windows 10 environment, we've got an interface that's going to give us a lot of capabilities, very accessible, again, from the desktop, and it's called the Action Center. Now, Windows 7 had the Action Center as well, but it really didn't have all the tools necessary for maybe mobile users to be very productive. And not too many people use the Action Center on a regular basis. But if I look in the lower right-hand corner of my desktop, next to the clock, I see a little, looks like a dialog box. And it's a little notification window. And if I click on that, then I get a panel that flies out from the right side here. And what that's going to show is a couple different areas. The top part is my notifications of maybe upcoming appointments. That'll show up there too. In this case, it's showing me my Windows Defender information, scans of that nature. It'll give me some details about what happened there. if there was any system updates that got installed, it'll show me the listing there as well. So good informational from a system perspective, but not clogging up your desktop at all. But the bigger part that I wanted to point out was at the lower portion of the screen. Notice a series of nice little blocks down there. And again, for mobile users, a lot of good stuff in here that we can see. Our networking connection types. We might need to get into the settings of the device. If we want to turn on airplane mode, change our screen brightness. Again, some of those buttons, of course, are available through the F keys, the function keys on your laptop. But again, some of those functions are not available there, such as rotation lock or projecting to an outside screen or connecting to a wireless monitor or something like that. So those are available directly through here as well. If you want to turn on quiet hours, so you're not getting any advertisements from your applications or outside messaging or anything like that, you can turn that on here too. So you've got a lot of nice functions in this lower portion of the screen. So it's a much improved way for us mobile users to really get into a lot of the different settings that we need to work with for our desktops. So that's the Action Center. Now sometimes, again, with working with multiple monitors, you kind of get used to all the real estate that you might have with your application spread out across 1 or 2 or 3 monitors. But when you disconnect and you don't have that second or third monitor, sometimes you feel a little lost, right? Like, how am I going to get all this stuff done? I usually have all these different views of things that I work with. Well, within the Windows 10 space, you also have the opportunity to create multiple desktops. So you can organize your applications based upon your preferences, if you will. So a virtual desktop, the question came up earlier about resource usage. So we're not actually creating something that's stored over long term. These virtual desktops are good for this current session. They're not persistent. And I know in the Mac environment you can do that. You'll create multiple desktops. I think in Linux you'll do that as well. You can create a desktop that's persistent across logins. Currently, the virtual desktops here are for this particular session. So what does it actually look like? Well, who's familiar with, of course, using this? Right, this is a good old Alt-Tab, right? And so if you need to go quickly to another application, then you could bring it up. But notice it kind of goes full screen, and I don't really have it, set up to maybe the way that I would want to have it sized and location-wise within a particular space. So I've got the ability to kind of flip back and forth, and that's something we've been using for a bit. Now notice, oh, okay, so now I still have my other application in the background there. I didn't want that. I still want to just use one application, and so I want it clean. I don't want to have all those windows, because now it's starting to get, okay, if I bring that other app to the foreground, then I still have the other one in the background that's partially there, blocking my desktop view. So what can I do about that? So here's where the virtual desktops can come into play. Right down next to the Start button, I've got the search, which is Cortana. Directly to the right of that is a little icon called Task View. Looks like a series of little rectangles down there. If I click on that, it's going to show me all my applications I've got open. And on that screen, I can choose, again, to either flip to that particular task, all right, which is basically what the Alt-Tab did. But more importantly, let me go back to there again. And in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, there's a little icon with a plus sign that says New Desktop. Hold on. So what I can do here is I can create a new desktop, or easier still, I can just right-click and say I want to take my Excel spreadsheet and send it to a new desktop. So notice it's gone now. At the bottom of the screen, I now see a Windows desktop that shows this particular application here. All right, there's that one. If I take my Documents view, I can send that over to another desktop. And so what's there, notice on that particular desktop, that's the only window that's there. There's nothing else that I need to go to. If I want to go back to my other desktops, then I can flip forward. All right, so there I'm going there, going back to my original desktop. In this case, it had my OneNote document on it. Okay, so in this case, I can move my applications across from one place to another. Let me go back to my original desktop here. Go back to desktop 1. Let's pick another application. Let's send my my Windows PowerPoint presentation to another one. So I'm going to minimize it so it's not showing up here at all. I'll pull up my task, my view here, and take PowerPoint and send that over to another desktop. All right, so now there it is within that space. I thought I told the other guy to do that. Where are you? That's desktop 4. It seemed to be sending this thing to every desktop, which I don't need at this point. So let me go switch back there. All right, there's my Excel. And let's pull up OneNote on this one. All right, cool. So at least we get a different view on these things going forward. All right, and if I don't want this on this particular view, that's fine. I can do that. So again, flipping back and forth between all my various applications within the desktop view, and you can create, again, as I say, many of these if you want to. I've got 4 created at this point, so I've got a variety of ways to work with this. Snap, new desktop, and I can choose to combine some applications across different places at this point. Now the trick is, of course, I've got multiple monitors here working across this, and my presentation, I think, is really affecting how this is actually working for me. So I'm seeing some unique things here from that particular view. And I'm going across multiple monitors as well. So if I had something on a secondary monitor, that also includes that. So my desktop is supported across multiple monitors. So if I do launching, of course, you can't see the second monitor here, but I'm actually flipping through. So on my desktop, I have the PowerPoint presentation on my second monitor, but when I switch to a different thing, Excel shows up, and now my PowerPoint presentation disappears from a secondary monitor. So you really are cycling through multiple views of your desktop across multiple monitors. So that really gives you some real flexibility with what you choose to see on the given desktops. So very interesting capability with regard to having, again, multiples or even a single desktop or monitor, and I can just close all these out and bring all my applications back to my original desktop. So kind of nice tool set, if you will. Again, working with multiples or even a single monitor at this point. Now, talking about multiple monitors is really important because a lot of us do this nowadays. A lot of us do have multiple monitors from a laptop perspective, a docking station, right? We'll plug into and have at least 2 monitors, or you've got a desktop machine and you've got at least 2 monitors as well. So a nice feature that I wanted to point out is the fact that let me show you my secondary monitor here. I'll flip over one more time just so you can kind of, oh, that didn't work out so well if I remember correctly. Let me switch and let me know if you see this. I'm going to go to my secondary monitor and let me know if you see it. If you don't see it, I'll just describe to you what what you normally would see. So if you can see that, let Cindy know if you can see that. You should see the PowerPoint slide now on your monitor. It's at 99. That should show up now. So let me know if you do see it. If you don't, it is showing up? Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm just going to escape out of here. I'm going to end the PowerPoint presentation right here. I'll just get out of that. All right. So that you get to see the desktop. So here it comes. It'll be up here in just a sec. It's refreshing now. Okay. So at the desktop level, again, no applications showing up here, but what I point out is at the bottom of the screen, again, this is my secondary monitor. I'm now able to see all my application launch icons. So I have another start menu and launch bar on the right-hand monitor. This is not my primary. This is my secondary monitor. So I have a fully functioning start button here. So it's duplicated across all the monitors. So I don't have to go back to my primary monitor to get something launched. I have Cortana access directly from here as well. So I can just click here. Here she is. She shows up on this side as well. And so everything is duplicated. It's scaled appropriately for the monitors, on each monitor individually, and all my launch buttons appear. I don't have to keep going back and forth. Now you've got some options to change that as well, as your taskbar settings, give you the opportunity to provide that across multiple monitors. You can lock your taskbar. Again, those features have been around for a long time in Windows, but again, your ability on the multiple monitors, you've got some choices here of how you want your taskbars to show up. Do you want to show them all, or just show a taskbar where a window is open, or only a taskbar where a window is open? So it will dynamically hide your start or launch buttons if you don't have anything open on that window. And if you move something over there, then it will display if you need it. I kind of like the ability of having the launch buttons across both monitors. It makes it very easy for me to get in and out of things without going back and forth between the monitors themselves. And of course, you can control, again, where things show up as far as combining and showing. Now, you can expand this out. You can see this here. I now have titles with my documents here. I've got my previews, which is nice, of course, as you might want to just see what that particular thing is before you maximize it. So you've got your peek view that's there as well. So that's very nice. That's available for you. Also, your jump lists. Your jump lists are active on all your launch buttons. You know what I'm talking about, right? So if I want to go to PowerPoint, I can right-click on PowerPoint, and it's going to show me, right, all my documents here that I've got opened or have opened or my pinned ones. So that works from here on all your other monitors. So wherever you see a launch button for an Office application, right-click, your jump list is there for you. So again, you don't have to go to your primary monitor to do it. It's all directly available on whichever monitor you decide to work from. So pretty nice. So that's kind of a little bit about that part. What else have we got on this particular view? Multi-monitor support, file history. All right. So we got to talk a little bit about backing up and protecting your documents and everything else, right? So a lot of us might not do regular backups on our systems, but there's a great feature set you can enable inside of Windows 10 called file history. What makes it really nice is the fact that it automatically is going to protect all of your normal places you store your documents, right? It's going to protect all those normal places. Anything that's part of what you call your user profile, it would allow you to work within that environment. So mine is still backing up at this point. So essentially what I can show you is where this would be actually available from. So it's a very nice location, easily accessible. So if there's something that got, let's say, deleted off your desktop, that's a normal place where things are saved, right, on your desktop. If you're a piler or stacker on your desktop, right, you know what that looks like. You've got things all over the place, shortcuts and documents and stuff. And so the desktop is a place that's automatically saved. The documents folder is a place that's already backed up. Your photos, your favorites, and so on. Those are automatically protected once you turn on what's called file history. It's pretty easy to get to. You can save things locally to an external drive if you've got a network obviously at your office or even at home. You can set this up on another shared folder across the network, and then you would set up how often you want it to do your backups for you of those particular folders. But the nice part about it is it's really easy to use and get to because it shows up right under here. There is an icon up in the home tab of your Explorer, and it's a little icon under Open. It says History right there. It's a little folder. So once this is up and done, mine is still getting some stuff going here. So in order to recover something, you'd click on the history icon, you'd search through the list of documents that were there, and on that one screen, it's very nice. It's a big green button that shows up at the bottom of the screen with an arrow that says Restore. That's it. That's as complicated as it gets. You click on the document, and if you've got multiple copies, and you can look at the date and time of that particular copy and say, oh, I want the one from Tuesday. I'd highlight that one. There's a big green button at the bottom of the screen. It says Restore, and it'll go right back to where it came from. And so it's there. So anything on the desktop, anything in the Documents folder, and it's customizable. So if there's maybe another location that you put things into that wouldn't necessarily be covered, you can customize it. If you've got a custom folder that you have somewhere on the C drive where things get put, then you can add that in, or you can exclude folders too. So I don't want to back up the photos that way because I put my photos out to, iCloud, or I put them in Amazon or wherever I put my photos, so I don't need those backed up here. so you can exclude folders as well. So it's all customizable from the control panel and settings within the file history. So pretty neat stuff from, again, things that you probably already know, right? These are probably features that you're already currently using. So let's take a look at maybe some things that you haven't worked with yet. So let's get a look there. Let's take a look at my next line here and talk about some things that you might not know. All right, so what do you got here? It's things that you don't know. Well, in the latest version of Windows, Cortana is available from the lock screen. So it means I don't even have to be logged into the computer. I can just either talk to her, again, if I've got a microphone hooked up to the system, I can just say the words, "Hey Cortana," and she'll start listening. As a matter of fact, she just did that right now. Okay, you stop. And she's ready to go. So even from the lock screen, you can ask her to get you some information, look up something without even being logged onto the system. That's more device-like now. I've got we've got the Amazon Echo here in the house, so I'm used to saying, get Alexa doing stuff. So again, very easy and comfortable because it's something that we're already doing from a different platform. So you can do that there. Now also Cortana, as you saw, can track upcoming package deliveries. So as you saw in my notifications, I got a package delivered today. I don't remember what it was, but I'm going to go down there after the presentation to see what it was that just got delivered. But she told me it got delivered by USPS, and it's there waiting at the door for me. That's great. Also, airline flight info. If you've got an airline reservation that shows up in an email, so confirmation information or flight details, she can let you know whether or not it's going to be scheduled arrival time or departure time. If it's been delayed, she can let you know that information as well. But she can pull that directly from the emails, not something we have to tell her to do. She's proactively doing that kind of stuff. You can let her know your favorite sports teams, and she can tell you the scores of games and stuff like that as well if you're interested in having that done too. Now, also, you can get notifications from your phones. So she's going to be able to talk to other platforms. So you can install the Cortana app on your iPhone, on your Android device, and she can get notifications that you've created on those phones as well, talking to your PC. So if your Android device is low on battery power, it can pop up as a notification inside of your Windows device. And oh, I better plug in my phone because it just told me my battery power charge is only at 9%, so I need to plug that thing in. So you can get those kind of informational broadcasts from your phones, appointments coming out, and so on from there too. What else can you get? Edge, the Edge browser, nice feature. It doesn't automatically start playing the multimedia content on a web page. The last thing you want to do is, if you're trying to read a story, is to have all these other things, those little pop-up ads on the side, they start playing and you're trying to figure out how to turn them off. Well, in the Edge browser, that automatically pauses those things. Unless you want to see that, then you can click on it and get it to load if that's what you're interested in seeing. So that's nice. A feature in the Windows 10 environment from a security perspective is called the Windows Hello feature, right? Windows Hello, all right? And that right there is about biometric type authentication. So you can use, again, facial recognition capabilities if your particular device has a camera that's an HD camera, as well as supports infrared technology, which if you've got a laptop that's a few years old, you might not have that capability. But as you're seeing more devices, your Surface Pro devices, and laptops coming out, that is a bit more common to see. So Windows Hello allows us to use some biometric type authentication for unlocking our system. But what this is saying is now we can extend this to web pages too. So a lot of the websites we go to, you have to authenticate. You have to log on, right? A username and a password. So if your device actually has a biometric capability, let's say with a thumbprint or fingerprint reader, you can tie that into authentication into websites as well. So that's an extension of the Windows Hello feature. So you know that, like on your phone, I've got an iPhone, and you can use that to tie into your Apple Store purchases, right? So look forward to those kind of things as well, being able to authenticate and purchase your applications that way. In this case, it's talking about your web pages too. Now, Cortana is interesting, again, back to Cortana, that she can use photo reminders. Photo reminders. So what's interesting about that is that you could have this picture of something that you downloaded from the web, and you can ask Cortana to tell you to purchase this. So a particular widget you saw in on a store's website. Oh, well, next time I go to this particular store, I need to get that. So you have the picture of it, and you can tell Cortana, it says, let me know, when I'm here to purchase this, and she'll pop up the picture. Says, hey, remember to purchase this when you're at the store, or when you get to the store, because you can have geographic reminders. So it'll actually remind you, as an example. So if I go into here and I tell her to set a reminder, so it'll ask me what, and it could be place too. Here's your photo. So remember to buy milk. Right, something as simple as that. Milled? How about milk? There we go. Buy milk. So where are you going to get it? So if I click on place, and I'll type in, I'm going to get it at Stop and Shop. And she's already tied in, and I'm going to go to this one here, my local Stop and Shop. Done. So it's going to remind you when I get there. That's pretty cool. So when it's there, next time, or a particular day of the week when I actually go there, it'll set me a reminder. And if I wanted to add a photo of what milk looked like, then I could populate that in there too, but you get the general idea. So easy enough to do, but she can, again, use photos as well to do that. You also have the ability to now get some Linux capabilities, so you can install the Linux bash shell, which is a command environment for controlling the operating system too. So if you're more of a developer type, or you like to tinker around the operating system under the hood a bit more, you now have the opportunity to use the Linux type environment in the Windows environment too. And then finally, of course, at the bottom, the clock area. So on the right side, of course, you got your system tray. You've always had that. I click on the clock over here. So I clicked on it, and this is on my secondary monitor again. This is not my primary monitor. This is secondary. So I have the clock. I have it there. So I have not only my calendar, but look what I also have. I have an appointment information right there. It's available, and I also have a plus sign. So I'm looking at it going, oh yeah, I got to add this in too. So you could tell Cortana to add an appointment, or if you want to do it this way, you can click on the plus sign. It'll open up your calendar function, your calendar application. There it is, and then you could pop in whatever it is that you wanted from there too, and generate your appointment from there. I know a lot of us use Outlook, so this would go into your Outlook calendar. It wouldn't just be sitting out here on your desktop. So that's there. Now, what else we got? Well, we got to wrap up here, don't we? It's 1:30, so I got to finish up here. So let's take a look at our next steps. All right, let's take a look at our next steps. So here's a slide. Again, if your organization is thinking about moving to Windows 10, by all means, we can help you do that. New Horizons has a feature called our Turn It Up, our Windows 10 launch initiative. So we've got a 90-day migration program that we can offer your organization, where you get a dedicated project manager to work with your company and figure out how to move to Windows 10, get involved with Office 365, get your organization moved into this next phase of the desktop environment. So you get a manager that's going to work directly with your IT and managers. You've got online training, you've got in-person training specifically for Windows 10 that you can use. You've got a library called NH Go Now, which is a great additional platform the New Horizons has launched as well for being able to pick out what kind of things you want to learn about your current applications or the Windows environment as well. So check that place out as well, some reference cards, some webinars like we're doing here for you, and some tips and tricks sent out to your organization as well to help that organization move to the Windows 10 environment. So there it is. It's nhls.com/Windows 10 launch. And also, if you're looking for some additional training regarding either end-user training for Windows 10 to get some tips and tricks like we showed today, or you're looking for some more in-depth things, if you're more on the IT side of the house and you need to figure out how to deploy the operating system or configure it for working within your Active Directory environment and so on, then the courses you see at the top of the slide are really some things you might be interested in. If you're working on service desk or, again, in the support arena, then you've got troubleshooting courses, we've got deploying courses, installation, configuration, and so on from that perspective. So lots of opportunities to get more hands-on and learning about Windows 10 from New Horizons. So at this point, I'd like to kind of wrap it up and see if there's any follow-up questions for either myself or Cindy, and we can answer those. Take a couple minutes. But if you are all set and you're going to sign up, well,
Yes,
thank you
Scott, you
very
got a
much for
few
attending.
questions.
Very good. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Cindy.
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
Scott, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here.
okay. I guess there was a little disconnect on, for some reason, there's something going on with the
Yeah.
chat
Okay.
today. Okay, so we do have a few questions.
All right. Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second.
You got it.
All right, so this is more so from the beginning or like middle. How did you do
Yep.
the Windows shake?
Oh, okay, great question. Yeah, so the Windows Shake, all you've got to do is you take whatever application window you would like to stay up on your screen, just grab it by the title bar like you're just going to move it around somewhere else on your screen. So grab it by the normal top center of the window and just wiggle it back and forth with your mouse, and that's it. That's all it is. So it's just like a simple move from one place to another, but you just wiggle it back and forth, and that's enough to, again, minimize all those additional windows.
Okay. And this was more so for micro or Windows Edge. Where is the edit and find on this page function?
So there are some options in here. Again, not everything that we're currently used to in the Explorer environment is going to show up here. So you do have some additional settings underneath the top right-hand corner of the view. Edit and search. I'm not sure it's a function that I've had need to use at this point. So most times I'm going to let Cortana do it anyway. So I'm going to drill into one of those areas, and whatever I'm looking for here specifically, I'll just right-click on it. And that's it. You should get the Ask Cortana, and there you go. That'll be your search. That'll be your search. What else you got there?
We also have, so Windows Edge doesn't load any pages in the browser when they are on free or open Wi-Fi's, but when this specific person is at home, the pages do open. What can they do to see the web pages on free or open Wi-Fi's? Is there some type of setting or permissions?
I wonder if that's got to do with viewing over metered connections. It's possible. It's possible it treats it as a metered connection. That would be the place I'd have somebody try to look that up, is whether or not the Edge browser is not being allowed to use it when it's not on your normal network or a non-public network. Let's take a look at that one. What have you got here for that? That would be my gut feeling with that one. It's trying Edge browser there over metered connections. Hmm, okay. What we got here? All right. Hmm. Okay. So you might be checking that out. Yeah, there's a couple online posts about that, even in Windows 8.1, about the particular network you're connected to and so on.
Okay.
I can post a link there if you want to share that out. Might help that user out as well with regard to that. All right. Anything else?
Yes, we have three more. So,
Okay.
this specific person wanted to know, is there a shortcut key to get the task view?
There may be. There may be. Let me see what I can get here. What do we got here?
I got someone saying maybe it's possibly a window button tab is the short Windows button tab is a shortcut, she thinks.
Yeah, and it's very possible. It's very possible. So we can see what we got here. That's the all I have is the shortcuts for going left and right, but to actually start it, a lot of the stuff there is like the Windows. Yeah, I'm
Windows
looking, and all I
button
see is
view. Someone saying Windows button plus tab. Would that be it?
from what I can see, that will create a new desktop.
Hmm.
And when I do Windows Plus, what I get the magnifier.
Oh.
When I get that, I get the magnifier on my system, so that's not like a consistent thing either. Um, so yeah,
We're
I'm not
saying
familiar with
that,
the shortcut.
yeah, we're seeing some people are doing it and they said it works for them, so weird.
Which one, the Windows Plus?
Yes, Windows plus tab.
Yeah, I do it and I get magnify. That's what I get.
Huh.
Now it could be because
Or
I'm
just
in this application.
Windows tab, not Windows and tab. Windows and the tab button, try that.
Okay, that brings up
There
the
you go.
task view. That'll work. And then you could do the plus and right click there. That works. Windows
Okay,
tab. Good.
perfect. And then one last question so we can wrap it up. We're a little bit over. Um,
Yep.
can you save a task view? For example, it would be great to have an RDC window always on desktop too. Would that be the same thing?
Yeah, unfortunately, no, not currently. That's the trick with it, and I'm looking forward to that myself because I could see this being set up kind of like you have your screen set up on your phone or your tablet, right? Where you swipe left and right, and you only see certain apps there. I know exactly what they're asking, and unfortunately, there isn't a way to do that currently. But I think that is one of the features coming up shortly is that you'll be able to pin a particular application to a specific desktop going forward, but it's not currently something that you can do in Windows with the multiple virtual desktops. So as I say, it's coming. I know that's the end goal. It's just not available fully yet, and I can see that because as I say, on our phone or tablet, we understand how that works. We put various apps on certain screens, and we swipe across the various desktops, if you will, on the phone or the tablet, so they have certain apps, categorized and organized that way. I envision that will happen here on the desktop in Windows. It's just not there yet.
Okay.
So that's my answer. It's not here yet, but it's coming. I know it is. I know it is coming.
All right, and I think that was it in the chat box. Since we are over, if anyone does have any other questions that they want to ask, I know there was a lot to cover with Windows 10, and I'm sure there's many more features that we did not cover. Um, so if anyone does come up with any questions that they might have, please email info@nhls.com, and we can respond to you as quick as we can. Um, If there's any other questions, speak up now. If not, everyone enjoy the rest of your day. And Scott, thank you for the excellent presentation. There's a lot of information.
Yeah, there was, and Fonzo's running over. It's one of those things. You keep going on the subject, and yeah, you could keep going for a while. All right, well, thanks for your time, everyone. Thank you, Cindy, for helping out with the event as well, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.